What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. Now, something again that I've not done in quite a long time, which I'm going to bring to you guys for this midweek video anyway. I am still going to bring, of course, a weekend video, but what it is going to be is dominantly around my split. And of course, what it's going to be is also include more or less a kind of week's worth of training. Well, the kind of main highlights anyway of what I have took from my midweek sessions anyway. Obviously, the full way I am going to take it from Monday all the way to Sunday. So what I'm going to do is kind of go over my full split when it gets to the end of the week. So even at that, it is going to be quite crammed in because it is going to get to Sunday and I am going to have to do like a voiceover or something like that before the video does get uploaded, of course. But yes, that is what we are going to bring for the weekend video. Now, back to this midweek video as you are watching this right now. We are going to go over a few questions that I have just took from my Instagram. Now, I was going to bring all of the questions from my Instagram, well, that was the plan anyway, and just bring them into this video and not put any on Insta, but I did get quite a few and it would just take forever to bring them to this video. So what I'm going to do is I have stole some from my Instagram, going to put them in this video, and then basically what I'll do is I will answer the rest of them on my Instagram stories or DM people depending on obviously what the questions were, because I don't really like to leave out that many of them anyway. Like, I try and cover the most that I can cover. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't get millions, right? I don't get millions, so I'm not sitting here saying I get absolutely fucking millions of questions, but I do get a lot, and it gets to the point where you literally cannot answer all of them. So I will try and cover most of them, but we're just going to run through as many as we can here. I believe I've took maybe down 9 or 10 or something like that, so I'm going to cover them here. Without rambling on any further, guys, I'm just going to crack on with this Q&A. I do hope you guys enjoy this video. If you do enjoy it, then please don't forget to drop the video a like for me, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, and let's crack on with this Q&A. As per usual, guys, we have got the trusty old iPad here. So question number 1, I am just going to run through these as quick as possible. Around how much protein do you take in a day? So I take in anywhere between 180 grams and 200 grams of protein. So bearing in mind, that is from real protein sources only. That is not from any trace protein whatsoever. At the end of the day, I probably accumulate something like maybe 220 to 240 grams of protein. But quite a bit of that is going to be from trace. So I like to make sure that 180 grams to 200 grams, which again goes back to like my kind of lean body mass, that's where I take most of my protein from. So I don't really go for like, right, I am 220 pounds, so I need 220 grams of protein. By the end of the day, it might end up something like that, but it really will be the back end of it anyway. It will just be from trace protein. So I'm not going to be focusing on taking in 220 grams of protein from absolutely anything. I will focus on 180 to 200 grams. More or less, it is 200 grams by the end of the day of real protein sources, which is not really an issue for me. So that really comes from things like chicken, maybe sometimes like egg whites, protein powders, my AGF protein, my rapid recovery, real protein sources anyway. So 180 grams to 200 grams of real. Trace could maybe be upwards of like maybe 30 to 40 grams. By the end of the day, obviously coming from more so things like my carbohydrate sources that will just have trace proteins and that in them. But yeah, that is really going to be it for that one. Next question we have got, will you ever transition over to a sumo deadlift, or are you comfortable with conventional? I will never in my puff ever transition over to a sumo deadlift. I'm not a fan. I don't believe in them. I believe there is only one deadlift, and one deadlift that should be performed, because if you think about it, right, of course there's going to be a conventional world record, there's going to be a sumo world record, but when everybody knows about a deadlift world record, nobody ever thinks about a sumo. Nobody. Everybody knows a deadlift is a conventional pull, and it'll always remain like that regardless world record or not. When I know you can do powerlifting competitions and you can do sumo and things like that, but again, I just don't believe in them. And from a bodybuilding standpoint, I guess you could possibly implement them maybe nearer the end of a leg session or something, but whenever I see people doing sumo deadlifts as their main pulls, it's like, it's just, no, I'm not a fan, and I will happily sit here and tell you that I'm not a fan. I will never do them. They're not for me. I don't believe they are ever going to be for me. So the answer to that is no. I will never transition over to a sumo deadlift from a conventional. I will always be the biggest fan of conventionals. I will always keep them in, and they will probably always be my favourite. So the answer to that is no. Do you recommend your own training split to others? I don't recommend my training split to others, and this is the reason why. So I feel that personally my body has adapted to my training split. Now this goes on to my next video, so I don't really want to go so into depth into this. I'm going to try and leave it to my next video because it is going to be primarily around my training split. But I don't recommend it because I feel that my body has adapted to it and I can recover very well from it. Well, more or less, I believe my mind anyway, that I can recover from it because I eat enough food, I sleep enough, I rest enough, I do everything that I need to do enough. I nail all variables outside the training, which allows me to perform this specific split. Now, anybody that does know, I will just kind of go over this split. Obviously, it's going to be in the next video, but I run legs and then chest and then back, shoulders, and then I'll do arms, then I move to deadlifts, then whatever I've done on the Tuesday I will perform on the Sunday, and then it'll be the opposite the following week, of course. So it is a kind of 7-day split, but once it gets to the Friday I will perform arms, which will be more or less an active rest day. Like, don't get me wrong, I do still try and train hard, but it will be nowhere near the same intensity as, say for instance, a leg session, or say for instance a deadlift session. So that is one of the main reasons that I don't kind of recommend. I would always recommend taking a rest day. Like, I always kind of go with the motto, like especially with my clients and stuff like that, like, do as I say, don't do as I do, okay? So don't do what I do, but do as I say, because I do feel that I am knowledgeable to the point where I know what people can adapt to, I know what people can respond to, I know what people can recover from. So obviously bearing in mind, like, this has been 100% real here, I'm being 100% honest, this is the way that I've always trained, and because I have always trained like this, and again I've made the progress that I've made, I have believed in this more than ever, so I have stuck with it. So because I've trained like this for years, I feel as if I've now adapted to it and I know how to recover from it. So yeah, I would just say that, like, I would say no to recommending my specific split, but I just believe that because that is simply my specific split. Like, I don't ever recommend what I do on a personal level to somebody else to do on their personal level. Like, everybody's different. People can recover from different things. People can adapt to different things. Like, people may be on a lot different to me. I may be on a lot different to the next person. So that really just comes down to, right now I'm saying no, but I mean, I would happily say to somebody to give it a go, and I mean, it might work for them, it might not work for them. That is really, at the end of the day, it comes down to whether it's going to work for you or whether it's not going to work for you. The next question, do you think you have good genetics? I do believe, right, I'm going to sit here and tell you guys, of course, being honest as usual, I do believe I have good genetics, yes, but I don't believe I have a shit work ethic. I believe my work ethic is through the roof. I believe it is at the highest that it could ever be. I don't feel I could ever do more than what I do at that specific time. After that specific time, I can always do more. But at that time, I always give my all. I always believe that there is never going to be any limitations within that specific set, specific session, specific day, whatever goal it is I have in mind. I'm not going to sit here and say that I've got shit genetics. It's all just down to work. I do believe I have good genetics, but I also believe that my work rate and ethic alongside that has got me to where I am today, not just good genetics. Good genetics will literally land you a few days in the sun. That is it. They are going to give you a good few days. Once the few days are over, they are going to shit on you, they're going to stop, and that is where it's really going to rely on if you're willing to graft, if you're willing to put the work in, or if you're just going to sit on your arse all day and watch TV and not be willing to nail all variables that you need to nail to reach your specific goal once the genetics do reach a point where you've reached your genetic potential, well, so-called anyway. But once you've kind of reached that maximum potential within your genetics anyway, that is really where the dictator is going to be towards your goals of whether you are willing to work or not. Thoughts on flies / leg extension before chest or leg compounds? So really what I'm assuming you're asking me here is thoughts on pre-exhaustion sets, as in warming up, getting a bit of blood in the muscles before you jump onto something like a squat or, say for instance, a bench press. I believe these are beneficial. I believe they can work. I believe they are very good for warming up, don't get me wrong, because I know a lot of people struggle to warm up, and the last thing that I would recommend is obviously going into a big compound cold. That's the last thing you want. That's why I always make sure I'm warmed up, and then I will move on to my warm-up sets within deadlifts, squats, benches, whatever. But I'm not the biggest fan of pre-exhaustion sets, because I get the fear of going too hard in a pre-exhaustion set and then fucking my top sets up, because by the time I get to my top end sets, I've hit 2 pre-exhaustion sets, which again, if I jump into a set, I want to take it to 100%. That's the last thing. I'm not going to jump on and just get a little bit of blood in the muscles and leave it there. I want to take it all the way. So I'm not a fan on that occasion, but at the same time, if you're going to just utilise them to warm up, then I would recommend them. Any advice you would give a 17-year-old natural bodybuilder? Right, the biggest thing here is depending whether you have competed or not. If you haven't competed yet, do not stress about competing. I know you have said obviously you're a natural bodybuilder, which is fine. I'm unsure, I've not looked on your page, I don't know if you've competed yet. But if you haven't, do not worry, do not stress about getting on stage. You are 17, please just enjoy life, enjoy training, eat like an absolute demon. Like, I mean, eat like fuck. Like, eat absolutely everything. Don't worry about being shredded, don't worry about being in shape for Instagram, don't worry about mini cutting, don't worry about dieting, don't worry about being shredded, don't worry about having abs, don't worry about getting likes on social media. Like, just please enjoy yourself, enjoy training, enjoy food, enjoy absolutely everything that you possibly can at 17 years old. Of course, you are a natural bodybuilder, I'm assuming you're training, I'm assuming you're taking a little bit to do with nutrition, but please just eat absolutely everything, get as big as you can, like literally push it to the absolute maximum. Compound moves, nail your basics. You are literally laying down the foundation right now at that age. You're not doing anything apart from laying down tissue, laying down the foundation, laying down everything that you're going to work around. So please just don't sit there and worry about the latest trends, because the trends are just ruining absolutely everybody's career right now. There's so many trends going about, and all you see is people changing it up, or people copying it for Instagram, or people posting it on this, posting it on that. Just eat big, lift big, and sleep like a baby. That is the biggest thing I can recommend. Of course, enjoy yourself. Tips for digestion and appetite. So digestion first, the biggest thing I would recommend is try and stick to real foods. I mean, these things are going to work a little bit better than your kind of processed foods or not so good foods anyway. Try and stick to as much of that as possible. After your food, stay on the move. Don't eat and then just sit on your arse all day, because the food is not going to get a chance to be utilised and get a chance to move. So what you could potentially do is, after you even have a meal, you could literally just go out 5-10 minutes, get some steps in, get the food moving, depending obviously how big your meals are. I would maybe not recommend that if you're on, say, 7 or 8 meals a day. But if your meals are a little bit bigger and less frequently, then I would maybe recommend something like that, just to keep the food moving. And appetite, again, you could just move a little more, build up that appetite a little more, maybe change some food choices up, because you've maybe got to the point where you've run so much food and so much of the same food that you've just got to the point where you have no appetite left because you really don't want to eat that food. Again, there's lots of things that can come into appetite. Obviously, maybe train a bit harder, lift a bit heavier. Again, you're going to build up that appetite, unless you bust your CNS to the point where you lose your appetite during your sessions, which again, a couple of times I have done that, but I've came around afterwards. That's really the biggest thing to do with digestion and appetite. I'm trying to think if I can come up with a couple more. I don't think there is really, that is it. Appetite's one of the hardest ones anyway, especially if you're in a surplus, because it is very easy if your food is increasing to get sick of food and lose your appetite. So maybe try not to do that, but just move a little bit more and lift a bit heavier, and maybe change up your foods if you really feel you need to. Now, I have seen that we have hit like 14 minutes now. By the time I edit this, I might take off like 2 minutes or something like that, but I am not going to go any further, guys. I do hope you have enjoyed this little Q&A. I have covered, I believe, maybe 6 or 7 questions, something like that. I don't even know, but of course, I do hope you have enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed it, then please don't forget to drop the video a like for me, guys, because of course it helps me so much, and I do appreciate it absolutely millions. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new about here, and I will see you guys in the next video.